Hello, I'm Stephan Schwartz, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Schwartz Report. For the last several weeks, I have been doing a lot of research into health and longevity because I began to see in the professional medical literature papers that were alarming about life expectancy, about living well, about how Americans are not living as long as people in many other countries, which I thought was surprising, to tell you the truth. So this week, I want to focus on some things you can do to live longer and in better health. Now, let me just start with life expectancy. Look at this map. Take a moment. What do you see there? Well, look at Washington or Oregon or California. Now look at down at the bottom at Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. It's a huge difference in how long people live in those states. I don't mean by months, I'm talking about uh, half a decade. And then the further I got into this, I discovered that women are living considerably longer than men. Look at this chart. The average life expectancy of an American male is 76.1 years. And the average for a female is 81.1 years. So not only are we having a huge difference between states, but we're having almost the same difference between the genders, with women living significantly longer than men. And the deeper I got into this, the even more notable it became, because it's very clear that not only are Americans not living as long as people in other countries, but what gender you are or what race you are makes a huge difference. In this chart, African Americans, 74.6 years. Native Americans, 76.9. White Americans, 78.9, both genders. Latino Americans, 82.8. Asian Americans, 86.5. It's an almost 11-year difference between African Americans and Asian Americans. And so I began to really delve into that and what is it that makes this big difference in how long the people of different races live and what can be done to improve generally and also specifically for gender or race. And this is what I got down to: three things: food, exercise, and meditation. Now, if you want to live longer, you want to live in a nicer, happier, healthier condition for those extra years that you can get. These three things, food, exercise, and meditation, make a big, big difference. Let's just start with the food part with obesity. Now look at this map. What you see is that obesity is a huge problem in the United States. I can tell you from my own travels throughout the world, and I've been to 119 countries, so I have a pretty good idea. One of the things that can let you always tell if someone's an American is if they're obese, because you see obesity in the United States in ways that you just don't in the other countries of the world. Now, what do I mean by obese? Well, the way you tell that is that you calculate your BMI. If your BMI is below 18.5, you're underweight. If you're 18.5 to 24.9, you're at a healthy weight. If you're 25.0 to 29.9, you're overweight. And if your BMI is 30 or above, you're obese. And that is a huge problem because obesity results in a whole string of illnesses. It shortens your life. It causes type 2 diabetes, all sorts of other things. Obesity is killing you. And it arises because of the food you're eating and the quantity of food you're eating. So the first thing to tell you about eating and food is stop eating prepared, processed food. Stop going out to fast food restaurants. Their expense has reached a level where actually it's cheaper to eat well than it is to eat fast foods. And I personally would suggest you stop eating mammals, cows, sheep, goats. Stop eating mammals. Chicken, fish, shrimp, okay. Try to eat organically where possible. I notice that chains like Costco are becoming more and more oriented toward organic food. Same is true in Trader Joe's, and community markets are doing the same thing. Try to eat organic, both the vegetables and the chickens, everything. Try to eat organic. Eat the fewest things you can that are filled with all the additives that are put into processed food, because none of them are doing you a service. They're just making a lot of profit for corporations. You want your BMI to be 18.5 to 24.9. So how do you calculate your BMI? Well, it's a formula. You take your height and your weight and you calculate the relationship, and that'll give you your BMI. And so here is the link that you can go to and get a BMI calculator. And I urge you to do this and to get your BMI into a healthy range. People eat too much for a lot of reasons, but one major one is emotions. They feel lonely. They have low self-esteem. They feel people don't like them. They're under a lot of stress. All emotional issues which lead people to eat more than they should and to drive their BMIs well into the obesity range. So please look at your diet. Think about what you're eating. Stop eating processed foods. Start eating organic foods. It will make such a big difference. Exercise. It's astonishing, but the majority of Americans are not doing enough exercise. The percentage of adults who met the federal physical activity guideline is dropping. And that guideline is 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity and 2 days of muscle strengthening per week over 30 days. 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous activity and 2 days of muscle strengthening per week in 30 days. Not impossible. Go for walks. Get a couple of hand weights that you can work with. Start yoga classes. You have to make a commitment to do this because this exercise issue is becoming a bigger and bigger problem for Americans. And that's one of the reasons they are becoming so obese. A study on physical activity found that 24 states had a decline in exercise over the last 3 years. We are less healthy. We are not living as long. We are obese. It's entirely a matter of choice. We don't have to be that way. We can do simple exercises. Walk 2 or 3 miles. Go to a park and walk. Walk around the neighborhood. Whatever. Walk for 2 or 3 miles every day. 40, 50 minutes. Not a big deal. Go with somebody else who's having a similar problem with weight, for instance, and talk to each other. Find a friend, find a family member. Go by yourself, think about things you're doing, whatever. Because this exercise, eating, obesity issue is literally taking years off your life. And the result of that is that you can actually measure the difference in fitness in states. Colorado is the top. West Virginia is the bottom. Look at this list. Which state do you live in? You don't have to be like the rest of the people in your state. By changing what you eat and changing your if you developing an exercise routine, you can literally add years to your life. And here's the third thing. And I will tell you that my personal thinking is that meditation, mindfulness, it's called also because people associate meditation with religion. It's not about religion. But in any case, this, in my view, is the biggest gift you can give yourself. I have been meditating since I was 24 years old. And I cannot tell you what a tremendous difference it has made in my life. Mindfulness used to be considered a kind of soft skill, but the research, and you can go to PubMed, go to the National Medical Library, do a search on meditation or mindfulness. Look at the thousands of papers that have come out. They'll tell you what a big deal this is. Meditation is the ability to attain and sustain intentioned, focused awareness. In the past year alone, there's been a shift from doctors prescribing pills to treat ailments to physicians prescribing outdoor play, trips to the museum, meditation to treat everything from pain, loneliness, anxiety, and burnout. They're now looking at mindfulness-based therapies like meditation for PTSD, depression, even chronic pain to undercut opioid addiction. Now, there are a lot of ways to meditate. As I said, it's been traditional to think of it as religion in some way, but it's not. What did happen and develop is that religions, just by observing what happened to people, learned over the years, particularly in the East, that meditation produced wonderful results. You can literally reprogram your DNA. It changes your ability to deal with stress. It changes depression. It changes your inability to focus on things. On and on and on. It helps you navigate stress, both acute and chronic. It increases your mental focus, and that becomes increasingly important as you age. It boosts your compassion toward yourself and others. It reduces bias toward negative thinking and negative thoughts about others. And it just generally improves your mental health. So if you don't hear anything else from me today, I urge you to develop the daily practice of meditation. 20 minutes a day. My wife and I meditate every night together before she goes to bed and I go back to work. 20 minutes. I've been doing it for decades. I'm going to be 83 years old. And one of the reasons that I do as well as I do and still write books and research papers, still give lectures and talks, still exercise is because I meditate every day. Rumlin and I take 20 minutes out of our day. You could do it in the morning, you could do it in the evening. That's not the issue. You just take 20 minutes. Now, there are many ways to meditate. There is no one way. And when people tell you they're teaching the only way or the best way, or no. The key is that you do it every day and that you attain and sustain intention focused awareness. And it changes your whole view of life and your mental health. Now, here's the kind of meditation I use. I designed this meditation technique and I did it very specifically based entirely on science, not on any religious belief. You can do it, whatever your religion, it doesn't make any difference. Write down that URL at the top of this screen. Meditation for Modern Minds. And I designed it, as I said, specifically based on science, because many meditation techniques were developed hundreds or even thousands of years ago in worlds that were very different. People didn't travel that much, they didn't have that much stimulation, there were no electronics, there were no nuclear war threats, none of that kind of stress. And so they developed techniques which were designed for those cultures. The technique that I designed is designed for the modern Western culture. You can get an audio you can download, and I will literally walk you through it. And you can listen to me walk you through it for days. And then when you have it down and feel comfortable, you just do it. It is the most important thing you can do. So, changing your eating, getting your BMI down, getting the necessary exercise, and meditating. That will change who you are as a person, I guarantee it. You will live longer. You will live healthier. You will live with a better frame of mind. What else can I say? It's that important. And I hope that you'll listen to this podcast, and as you hear it, you will think to yourself, I'm going to do that, because it will make an enormous difference. Thank you.